So our training agenda here, we're first going to review the CAMA uploads, since I think that is top of mind for folks. And then we're going to take a look at Homestead, and we've incorporated some feedback that we've gotten here from both DAs and from local listers. So I think you'll see some new stuff that you'll like. So we're going to be looking at these two modules, grand list management and tax programs. Okay, so the CAMA upload, we're going to walk through this in a couple different ways. It's pretty straightforward. Each of your vendors has an export file that has passed our tests. The instructions are available online. I'll show them to you so you can see exactly how they work when we do the demo. So just relax through this PowerPoint. As with all of our trainings, we're going to start with the PowerPoint with theory. Then we're actually going to go in and take a look at it in the application. So this year, the upload is only going to be used for homestead verification. So you'll be looking for the ownership changes there, current use. So your total listed value will be compared and the total acreage will be compared. We have that separate current use training, and then sales validation. So we will not be generating your grand list from this today, or this year rather. So this should be a pretty low stress upload. If anything does go wrong, we have full backups of all the data that we have from 2022 that we can very easily revert to. And essentially, if the property doesn't have a homestead, current use, or a sale on it, it's not very consequential this year. We certainly want to get everything ironed out, but this should be a little bit less stress to upload this file than it would be if we were going to be generating your whole grand list from it. To further clarify, we're going to be using the 411 that you normally would export out of NEMRIC. That will be used for your equalization and generating your CLA and all of that stuff. So this is just for these three things this year so that we can get everybody used to this process, and then we'll roll out fully next year. All right, so going into the assessment uploads module, we have our help text right here, and I'll show you that in the application. This is where you get to your help by clicking the blue eye. I do want to highlight here, you want to look for the status of your upload to be processed. So this is a batch process, so you'll upload your file. It will start processing. It runs every 5 minutes and grabs everybody in the state that's uploaded a file. So you can run through, and once you see processed, you know that you're good. And you can view your abstract. So the abstract is just that summary by category code of all your taxable and non-taxable properties. So taking a look at how the upload actually works, if we do add a new assessment upload, it'll bring us to this upload screen. This will be bigger when I do it on the demo. So the first thing is you select your type of upload. I think this time of year, everyone's just going to select working grand list. Your other options are the values that you're certifying to the clerk, your final April 1st values, what you would submit to PVR in August, or your January final as billed values. So anytime you pick one of those, we create a snapshot of all of your values because those become important later. The next thing is, what do you want us to update? Now, when you do your upload for the first time, you're going to click all of them. You're going to update your parcel, update the owner, and update the value. The reason there are options is once you get your ownership final for April 1st, you can just unclick that and not update that owner information, so you maintain those final owner values. And again, for this year, not as important since we're not generating our grand list from this, but you can choose to update any one of those. And I'd recommend doing all three this first time. Then you just browse for the file to upload. And I know this is a little bit abstract because we're not showing you how you get that file out of CAMA, but Chris is going to show you how that will work in NEMRIC, and I'm going to show you some of the instructions before the demo as well. We can put our notes in here, which I would recommend just maybe putting, who uploaded the file and any notes you have, these are the final values, so forth. And then we click upload. You can use your actions button here on your upload to see the status of what's going on with the upload. So it will begin with started upload, and it will continue on and tell you how many records it has uploaded, If there are any errors in the upload, it'll show you them there as well. And then you can use the abstract button that I showed to view your abstract. So this is non-taxable and taxable properties. So this is not equivalent to your grand list. This is everything you've uploaded for us that's a real property. So you'll be able to compare these values, see if everything ties out. Again, if it doesn't totally tie out, we want to get to the bottom of it, but it's not a deal breaker this year because we're only using it for current use homesteads and sales. If you do run into something, you might see, oh, I've got 11 records here that didn't have a category code. So not too bad. We don't want to freak out about that. We just want to find them and get them a category code assigned. And I'll show you how you can download the file. You can use the file that you uploaded. You'll have that as well. But we can find those records and get that corrected in your CAMA if you do run into this. So if you see it, don't panic. It just means there's a category code missing somewhere. So we just want to get that taken care of. And again, we've got thousands of parcels here and 11 don't have a category code. So not a terribly big deal. So takeaways, your CAMA vendor will let you know when your CAMA export is available to you. I think everybody plans, if they don't already have it out, to have it out by the end of the week or on Monday. The vendors we've been working with have all been great: Nemrick, Patriot, ProVal, Vision. So we have all of that underway. And I just want to take you through exactly how this would work. All right, so what would you do exactly? Well, I'm going to log in. I'm going to go to 2021, I think. Lincoln. And I'm going to go to Grand List Management. All right, so I've gotten this far. Now what do I do? Click Help. So here is our help page. We have the first step is to run your export from your CAMA provider's software. So each provider has given us instructions that we have posted. So your first step is to pick the instructions that you want to run. So if we have Patriot, we have the instructions there. I can go back. Some of them have provided us with PDFs that you can download. Some just gave us some screenshots and some instructions. So for example, Vision looks like this. So step by step, go into this menu, download the file, and you're just going to save it as your town name .csv. So that gets us the file down onto our system. So you use your CAMA vendor instructions to get the file. Then we go through step by step. So we go to CAMA upload. We go to add. We're going to upload the local file. And then we've got our screen down here, and the numbers correspond to talking you through what these different values mean. We click upload, wait for the file to process. You want to look for the file to be processed here. And there's a couple different things that you can do. You can view your abstract, you can view your messages, or you can download that file that you just uploaded. So those are our instructions. So again, I would go over to add, manually upload a file. This is my working grand list. Going to do everything. I go to find the file. I put it in my C drive. I don't have any music because I'm boring. And I put it in my VTPIE uploads folder. And I'm going to select that file that I downloaded from my vendor and click upload. So now we wait. Now is when we go get a cup of coffee. We let this run in the background, and we'll come back either clicking refresh or F5, and the status on this will change. We'll be able to view our abstract. So that's the process. And if you do something wrong, if there's a problem, you can correct it and just upload again. It will upload and update everything for you each time you upload. So don't worry if you need to make a correction. You can make a correction in your CAMA and just upload it again, and that problem will be resolved.
Who should a town call if they're trying to do this CAMA upload process and they're having trouble? Would it be their CAMA vendor or your Axiomatic, or who would it be?
If they're having trouble getting it out of their CAMA software, that would be their CAMA vendor. So having trouble running the report, or if you don't have access to the report, that would be their CAMA vendor. Having trouble with the upload itself, you can send that to our support desk. And just make sure you tell us which town and which vendor you're using. It's basically vendor specific. So that's how we would do that. And don't hesitate if something goes wrong, like I said, we can restore what was there already. So not really high risk. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Chris, who's going to do a bit more of a demo with this. And I think I see Chris here.
Here's my smiling face, Patrick. All right, so I can share my screen now. Am I good to go?
Yep.
Okay. So you guys should see my desktop. I just need somebody to confirm that out loud for me to make sure that you can.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good. So we're talking about CAMA uploads. As you know, we've talked about the VTPIE export. Axiomatic has created the specs. All the CAMA vendors can meet those specs, just like Patrick said. Most of the fields are coming out of your grand list program anyways. Names, addresses, category codes. It's not real earth-shattering data. So we're just going to go into our grand list just like we always do. I'm going to go into my test town here. I'll ignore this message for a second. Okay, so I'm in my grand list program and I want to run the VTPIE export. So I'm simply going to go into Microsoft, log in. And those of you that are Microsoft users are familiar with this screen and you're aware to pay attention to what database you're in. So you're in your most current CAMA database. When I release this, once I'm done going through my checks and balances, I'll put a live update out for everybody to get. You'll go to, you can either go to utilities down to live update, or you can do it from the Nemrick screen, live update. Either place is fine. You'll have this button. I'm going to guess that it's going to change a little bit because right now, the way I have it set up is our original thought is you'd be able to upload current use and download current use as well. So once I may take those buttons off, not a big deal. We're going to hit upload parcel data, all parcels. Initially, we were thinking there might be a process to upload individuals. There may be changes to this. Everything is up for changes as end users start using it and add comments. We'll tweak it as we need. We're going to hit select all and create a file. Now, right now, I just have the file being created in the Microsoft directory. As time goes on, it gets trickier to create files on your local workstations with security and access and that type of thing. So this will create a file, and I'm going to show you where it's going to go. And I may streamline this yet even further. You're going to open up your Windows Explorer, and on my C drive of my computer, I have a Microsoft directory, and there's my file that I just created for Patrick, VTPIE export, okay? Once that file's in place, I'm going to take you out to the internet, and I've logged into VTPIE. This is the test server that Patrick has given me access to. I'm going to log in. I'm going to change to the appropriate entity because some of you that are assessors or people that help in multiple towns, you may have logins, so you want to pay attention to what town you're logging into. Set your specific year. Just like Patrick did, I'm going to go to Grand List Maintenance, upload, and you can see right here, due to the interest in time, I already uploaded my file, but I'll just click add. I won't go through the whole process. I won't actually, but this is the file I uploaded earlier today. Patrick, you might want to make a note. I got excited and uploaded the file without giving it a little note. I think these notes are helpful. You know, you can see where this is my second test file with one record. This is my, so people remember to label them. Might help them remember what they were doing when they uploaded the last time. So I'm going to go to manually upload file. What am I doing? I'm doing a working grand list. Check off what I'm importing, just like Patrick said. Select the file. And this is the kicker. And Patrick and I have talked about this, and maybe we can streamline this a little bit more, but we'll get there. So because I've uploaded the file a few times today, my web browser remembers that I uploaded it from the CMSOL directory, but it may not always. All right. It may just drop me in the C drive. And if I'm on a network, I may have to go to an N drive or something like that. So you're going to have to get a little comfortable with your computer at this point. I'm going to select my Microsoft folder. And there's a file called VTPIE export. It's looking for a CSV file. So that's why you don't see that many files in this list. If this drop down is set to all files, now it gets much harder. right? So we can just simply go to CSV text files and it'll isolate just the CSV files you have available. Select it, open it, just like I told Patrick, I like to label it with something and then click the upload button. I'm not going to do that because I actually want to show you the abstract that I'm working on. So I'm going to close out of here. This is the abstract I want to look at. So I'm going to click this button that says view abstract. This, what Patrick has built for me, or built, I shouldn't say for me, for us, is a breakdown of each category. This breakdown includes active parcels and taxable and non-taxable and state-owned land parcels, okay? And why that's important is, and eventually we'll get to a report. Here is our 411 report that we usually hang our hat on. But remember, our 411 only does active taxable parcels. It doesn't include the non-taxables. So these numbers are different, as you can see. So what I am doing, I'm going to slide that back over here. I am building a summary for you like this. I'll zoom it out a little bit. So basically a summary sheet. So when you run your extract from NEMRIC or from your Microsoft CAMA, it's going to give you this summary that these totals include all real property, active parcels, taxable, non-taxable, state-owned land. Gives you a total parcel count, gives you your total values of everything that's active, taxable, and non-taxable. These numbers should match up with Patrick's abstract over here. Actually, I'm going to slide this over a little bit because I do have a screenshot of that, and it might be easier to see it this way. There. Then I'm going to break it down just like he does by categories so that you can see that all the R1 categories, we sent $62,906,500 to Axiomatic, to VTPIE, and VTPIE received 294 in the value matches. Okay, we're going to do that all the way down through so you have a quick summary, and you can save this summary with your extract. I may add a few more rows here that breaks it down from active taxable, active non-taxable parcels, so you can see that breakdown so we can marry it up to the 411. So I'll move this off to the side and move this off to the side and close this. I'm done with my my work in VTPIE. I'm going to log out. I can close this screen. I don't need to send another upload and go about my business. And I think that's simply, that's the simple version of this upload file.
That's awesome. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so we're going to keep going here. I just want to highlight, this is what we were just working on. So Lincoln 2021. I wanted to also note that we've got our last assessment process date. So that's where you can quickly see how up to date all of your information is. And if I go in, this was the one that I just uploaded while we were watching. So you've seen the abstract. A couple other things. You can view your messages. And some of this is for us on the technical support side. So it's telling us the information processed through to our staging table. So that's the first step of the conversion and then merging into VTPIE. In this case, we didn't have any records in 2021. So it's saying we added 798 records. We didn't update anything because this was our first time uploading and that the process has completed. So you get a little bit more information here. This is also where you'll see errors. So this is good for troubleshooting if things aren't tying out. This is a good place to look and we can help you at Axiomatic figure out what that is. You can also download the file that you uploaded, but of course, as Chris showed, you should have that. You should have that file. The other thing of note is it won't let you upload exactly the same file twice. So if you do that, it'll just say duplicate file, just to prevent you from doing the exact same thing 2 times. So I'm going to switch back over to the PowerPoint and we're going to continue here and then we'll open it up for questions at the end. So we're going to talk about reviewing your Homestead info, all the same information that you're used to. We'll look at your lister responses. We'll talk about completing the Homestead review and downloading your Homestead into billing, which Chris is going to help me demonstrate as well. So first we have our help here as per usual. This is a feature that we added. So this is a feature we added in based on user suggestions. So this has more options now. It starts to show only your incomplete. So just like sales, it shows the records that you need to take action on. We also have additional drop downs here, so you can filter down to just your business and rental use. And then when you hit the next button, that will go through and bring you to the next record that has business and rental use. We also have the table that we're all used to here, so you can filter and sort by business and rental use if you just want to quickly see those, or if you want to search for the ones that have 50% rental use and so forth. You can use these searches as you always have been. We have your quick complete here, and we'll talk about the workflow that I think is perhaps the simplest, but you can use that top checkbox to select all of the available homesteads and use the complete homestead button here to complete a bunch of them at once. And we're going to talk about downloading the billing. The rule set that's in now is you have to have completed all of the homesteads that you have available to you. So 100% of the homesteads have to be complete in order for you to download. We have our reports right here. So we have a couple big Excel reports, and then we have the PDF comparison reports that you're used to. So we'll take a look at all of that. So let's go in and take a look at the actual homestead review page. So I just want to highlight up here, we have lister responses. So this is same as you've always done. You can submit your lister responses to VTAX, and they will review them, and perhaps we'll get a new homestead in if that's appropriate. So down here we have our grand list information. So this is coming straight off your grand list. So this is why it's important to upload your CAMA before you come in here. If there's been a transfer, you want to see those new names. You can see John Paul Jones does not live, is not matching up with the owner here. And we have our homestead declaration information here. So this is all of the homestead fields that we get. So this is all the things that used to be there are still there. One item that I want to call your attention to that we've added down in the bottom left of this box that I'm highlighting, we have the current year business use and then the prior year business use of dwelling and then rental use of dwelling. So in parentheses, prior year is going to show you last year's value. So as you're reviewing it, you'll have that right there for you. So when you do your lister response, and the screen is a little bit out of date, this is called lister response now. When you hit save, it's going to submit that off to the Department of Taxes, and they'll go ahead and review that. So your takeaways here before I do the demo is upload your CAMA before you do for the easiest comparison. You can do a side-by-side with your CAMA. If you just want to have that as a reference, you can certainly do that if you haven't uploaded your CAMA yet. The lister responses occur in VTPIE. So this process hasn't really changed. You'll still do lister responses. They go to the same place. You'll still have to go into your CAMA to update your homestead and outside places. And homesteads will be available for download to facilitate external billing. So we're going to talk about that billing, and Chris is going to show you how that will work as well. So let me go in and do a demonstration now. So here I am in my tax program. So at this high level, you can see the work that you have to do. We have 0 of our 5 homesteads, very small homestead count here. So we're going to go into tax programs. We're going to go into homesteads, and here we have our work queue. So we have a bunch of different options here now. So we can show our incomplete with business and rental use to get down to those. And I'm just going to hop in here to show you that now that is what we're scrolling through. So we had some folks say that they would like to just be able to work through these so that they can process them. So you're able to do that. So we have these filters here. You can show only incomplete or just show all. So unlike the sales, these do not ever go away. We've got a bunch of reports in PDF format. I think those are pretty straightforward. I want to show you our Excel report here because that's maybe a little bit less familiar. And it always opens on my other screen, but I will bring it over once it. So we have all of our homesteads here. So this has all of the data, whether or not it has questions, whether or not it's a valid span, multi-town, and the other reports have that kind of broken down by category. But we have all this, our name mismatches, our owner, and all of our names mismatch because these are not real homestead declarations. And then our owner code mismatches. So these are, your ownership code is not one that should be getting a homestead. So I think probably the easiest way to work through these is maybe do your business and rental first. So you would go in, and Chris is going to talk about how to do this, and you can see your prior year here. So no business use of dwelling, last year the same. Rental use of dwelling, 50% last year the same. And no business rental of outbuildings. So you've got that quick comparison there for you. You also have your map here if you want to bounce out to that, and our lister response. So if we go in and say incorrect span, we can put in our comment, and that goes off to the Department of Taxes, telling us up here, this is going to create a case, and it does create a case. It creates a case in their tax system, and then they work it accordingly. So we can just go ahead and approve Miles Davis's record. We can go through and complete Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones, PJ McCartney, he's got his little alias. And Chris is going to show a little bit how you would do this in CAMA. That process hasn't changed. So I'll let Chris show you how that works since he's got the CAMA. I've got our other two. We'll just go in. So now we have nothing incomplete. So that's the business rule. You have to do 100% of what's available. Once you've done that, you can click download to billing. So once I click download to billing, it's going to say, are you sure you want to do that? I'm going to say yes, and it's firing that off. So we're sending all the same data over to Nemrick. I'll switch it over to Chris so he can pick the file up. So it's all the same data, and just kind of to step back from the process itself. Same in CAMA. You're doing the same work with your Homestead House site. You're doing lister responses first in VTPIE, so in the state system, and then you're clicking download, and you're getting the same data that you always would. So it's that you're doing lister responses first in the state system, clicking download, and then it's coming to you just as you wanted. The prior year value is showing from prior year Homestead applications. And I'll let Chris pick it up here if you're ready, Chris, to show.
Sure. All right. See what I've got open. All right. So I've got my grand list still open. Okay. And so I'm going to go and look in my VTPIE program. Get over here. I'm going to log back in. I'm getting better at looking at what entity I'm in. So I'm in the Lincoln 23. And just like Patrick showed us, we go to tax programs. I got 2 homestead decks, and I can see I haven't done any work. It's Barbara and Eric Jones. So I can do a couple of things here. I can see that both of them declared business and rental use. So the nice thing about this data being cloud-based, I can go over here. I can bring up my CAMA program, and I can have it side by side, and I can look up these parcels 411. Oh, you do it. It's got span number. So span number 10,673. I can have this side by side here. 10,673. Barbara filed a homestead deck with 50% rental use. So if there was a sale on this property, I may have to research it a little bit. But I can go to section 1, page 2. Oh, no business and rental percentage put on this property yet. So I can type in the 50% and revalue it if I'm ready. Or I can wait until later, until I'm ready and I'm done reviewing this property. So I want to show you a couple of things about this. Minimize this for a second. I'm going to come over to my grand list, and I'm going to go to Old Faithful, my 411, just to show you where we're starting off. I haven't downloaded any current use values, anything like that. And I'm going to preview my 411. This looks familiar, right? All my values are on my municipal grand list. I haven't downloaded any homestead decks yet. So everybody is still part of my non-homestead grand list. Perfect. You're going to save this, set it off to the side. Right? As I always tell people, you're as good as your last backup. So before I go to download from VTPIE, the homestead decks, when I'm done with them, I might do a backup and a restore point and just call it before first download. So I'm going to jump back over to VTPIE, and I'm going to download those 2 files. I'm going to say, sure, complete. I'll do a lister response if I need to. I'm going to say complete. It's done. And now I get the download to billing button. And just as importantly, don't forget, Patrick has added some reports for you that you can run here, an export that you can run, and you can group your data together with these different grouping criteria that he's put in here for you. So I'm going to hit this download to billing, and this is going to send the file out to a server, and then I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to come back to my grand list, and I'm going to click on Homestead Decks. And when I release this version, it's just going to say receive decks from VTPIE. I'm going to check the file size that's being downloaded. It tells me I've got 1 file with 2 declarations. And just like you always had, and this is another check and balance you can do, here's the date that I downloaded this file. Are any spans mismatched? I mean, some of this heavy lifting you've already done. But if you want to feel a little more comfortable that what you got in VTPIE is what you ended up with in Nemrick, here you go. Successful recordings. Preview. Here's our 2 parcels. Here's the names that were on the Homestead decks. Here's the names that are in. Now it's looking at our grand list, our local data. Okay. I can run all these reports just like I have, and they all should match up to what VTPIE has. So if I want to see my business and rental percentages, both people filed the business and rental. Name mismatches. I've got 1 parcel that I need to look at here. Why is the name mismatched? You're going to have maybe a little bit more information in your local software. So I'm going to jump out of here. I'm just going to come over here and look up span 10673. I can go to my value exempt screen. Oh, Homestead declaration is turned on. That's what we received from Patrick, just like you've seen in the past. Nothing has changed here. Go to the HS 122 tab, 50% business, 50% rental. This may warrant a lister response for you, right? Barbara is the person that filed, but Adams is the person that I have as owning it. I can look at my transfers. Barbara sold it in June of 2022. So once you update, these things should all match between VTPIE and the Nemrick program, okay? If you believe this guy does rent 50% of his house, let's jump over here, get to CAMA, find that parcel, put the 50% in, just like you always have. It's going to adjust the homestead and house site value. I'm going to close it. Homestead and house site has now been adjusted. Close it. Homestead and house site's been adjusted here as well. If I look up that other parcel, 10004, same deal. This is his value. His value's been moved from the non-homestead to the homestead. Here's his homestead deck as you've always seen it. Okay, we've got a couple other flags that are checked here that we got to research a little bit. Cancel out of here. We'll open up our CAMA program, make the adjustments in CAMA appropriately. So nothing exciting here. This is the same thing we've always done. Just you're getting the homestead decks in VTPIE and you're doing the lister response in VTPIE. Pretty straightforward. Now, I'm going to take you back over to the grand list because when we go to the reports menu, I'm sorry.
Chris, it's Christy. I think that what we want to hone in on is we really want people doing all of their checks in VTPIE. This is going to become your operating grand list next year, so you really need to get used to doing the process in VTPIE.
That's right.
Just because there happens to be a holdover of some of these reports in Nemrick, I think it's important that we transition to VTPIE and we start checking our homesteads in VTPIE and going through the reports there.
Right, exactly. I agree. So if we go to the 411 where we're at, we get our homestead warnings, right? So this is telling you, just like Christy said, make sure that you adjusted these in your CAMA program, make sure you did a lister response, and this agrees with what you have set up in VTPIE. No current use values yet. Preview, and now you can see, just like always, values were moved out of the non-residential column into the homestead column accordingly. This should match the abstract that you have in VTPIE, so on and so forth. So all the checks and balances should be there, and it should be pretty straightforward. The homestead decks information is the same as what it has always been. The file layouts haven't changed, and the information you have access to hasn't changed. That's all I have for showing. I hope that kind of smooths it out a little bit as to how you're going to download that button in VTPIE will become available once you complete records, and you can only download them once. And then your new batch will become available and you'll be able to complete those and download those.
I did want to highlight one other item here before I go back to the PowerPoint to wrap up. And you saw it before, but it was maybe a little bit subtle. You're determining your homestead value in your CAMA. And if you'll notice, because we have a couple homesteads here, it's calculating that on the fly as you upload your CAMA. So there was a couple of homesteads in this test data. So it's using your homestead value to determine the homestead non-res split for that parcel and just applying it on the way in if it has a homestead. Same thing happens as homesteads come in. So even if you don't upload new CAMA, it's going to look for that homestead value that you have. And if a homestead record comes in, it's going to update those records that we have on file automatically for you. So I'm just going to switch back over to the PowerPoint here, slightly out of date. Begin reviewing your homesteads now. They are available. If you need an account, request at VTPIE.org. Again, you do want to do a CAMA upload before to get those names in. But with this, you can do a CAMA side-by-side if you wanted to. You'll receive an email from support@axiomnh.com if you do request a new account. And I know we have some clerks that might need access, so just have them request an account at vtpi.org and we can get them set up as well. Look for upcoming information in the coming weeks about downloading and so forth. We have the help menus integrated throughout the application. So you saw the detailed help there for the CAMA upload. We have this training session recorded. 2 ways to get help, and I guess there's 3 ways actually, since we're talking about a CAMA upload. If you don't have the CAMA upload available to you or it's not generating correctly, if there's a problem with the data, that would be your CAMA vendor. If you're having problems with VTPIE, you know what you want to do, but you can't make the system do it. That's Axiomatic, or Grand List, of course, NEMRIC, as you all know. And process help would be PBR. So if you don't know what you should be doing, if you don't know how to value that business and rental, you need some assistance with that, or you don't know how to value current use, excluded land, that would be your district advisor. And we have all of our support contact info there on the right.